Pill, the Code of Change, and your host Renzo Buya. This is episode 14 with Merle Tracey. She is from Montserrat, a paradise island in the Caribbean. And we're not gonna talk about Magnify your magic. In these hard times, it's very important to take the best of you to affront all this new reality. Okay, welcome, Merle, to the redpill.tv.
Great. Thank you, Renzo. And I'm delighted to be on redpill.tv. So it's a pleasure.
Oh, great. Mer, first, I know that you are in the island in the Caribbean in Montserrat. Can you share something about your country, where you live? I don't know, and your background, and I just want to know a little more about Montserrat and your background.
We're a tiny little island. We got hit with a volcano in 1995. And so we're actually still a British dependent territory. So we're actually a colony, one of the few colonies that's left. You might know Montserrat from Arrow. Arrow sang Hot, 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 Feeling Hot, 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 which was quite a popular song that was throughout the 80s and 90s. And we also had Ear Studios on Montserrat, which was a recording studio that a lot of the artists like Sting and U2 and Michael Jackson and different people would come to Montserrat and record back in the 80s. The early 80s, well, the 80s and 90s. So I'm not sure if you have heard of George Martin. He produced a lot of the record artists. Well, he had a studio here, his studios. And so that's where Montserrat got a lot of his fame from, because it's such a small, beautiful, unique, relaxing island that when people come here, they don't have people who are bothering them. You don't have people who are starstruck. So people allow the celebrities to be themselves. They're not like, so they got their time to relax and, be at peace. And we're known for our friendly, relaxed nature. So, so Montserrat is a little gem in the Caribbean, close to Antigua, close to Guadeloupe, south of Puerto Rico, south of Florida.
Great. And one question, how many people is in Montserrat?
You're going to laugh. It's like the size of a little village in Mexico, but it's 4,500, so it's a small island.
4,500. Okay.
Less than 5,000, just under 5,000.
1,000. Okay.
Yeah.
And
less than 5,000.
I suppose that you eat a lot of fish and seafood, and is the classic, or you have a special dish or classic dish?
Sure. So we have a lot of goat on the island. So the name of our national dish is called goat water. I know it doesn't sound appetizing, because goat water doesn't sound appetizing, but it's actually just the goat stew, because we had quite a bit of Irish influence. We had a lot of Irish settlers come here in the 1800s, 1700s during slavery time. So it's similar to our Irish stew back in Ireland. So Montserrat and Ireland have a lot of similar cultural aspects.
Okay, I hope when they taste that.
My goodness, it's amazing. We do have fresh fish as well, but it's a goat stew. It's our national dish.
Oh, I hope one day taste.
Yeah.
And Montserrat, tell me a little about your background, and why did you decide to start this journey helping others, and now I saw now Magnify your magic, and sounds great. And tell me a little about this past.
Okay, so for me, I really got into health and wellness about 10 years ago when I was going through a really rough patch with my marriage. And because I was so stressed out, my skin developed some really terrible eczema, some really terrible rashes on there. And going down the regular medical route, I went to several doctors, and none of them, nobody could help me. And the medication I got just actually made it worse. And so I went to a natural healing, a living foods place in Puerto Rico, the Wigmore Institute. And after about 3 weeks of being there and just eating wholesome natural foods, unprocessed, then my body and my whole spirit just felt completely different. I felt alive, my skin was healed. And so when I returned back to Montserrat, I just really wanted to help everybody and share the message. I was like an evangelist, someone who had just become like when those people become new Christians and they want to convert everybody to Christianity. That's how I was in terms of food and wellness. And so I did that. I did classes. I had a radio show about food and wellness. And then a few years later, I noticed that I was breaking out again. Like, I was like, what's wrong? Because I knew all the things I needed to do. I knew the foods, I knew what was, the chemistry of stuff in my body, but still I was getting sick again. And what I realized, I had to dig a lot deeper. And when I dug deeper, there was a lot of energetic things that were off in terms of shame around things that happened, shame around things that weren't going well. And so being able to release that shame, being able to release a lot of those shadows, being able to dig deep into those places of myself where I was allowing darkness to be versus allowing the light to shine forward, which is what shame is. Shame and fear are just allowing shadows or darkness to be in your body versus allowing your light to just flow freely. I got into more the energetics, and I realized that one of the reasons why our bodies don't heal as quickly or our businesses don't take off the way we want to is, one, we have a lot of fear and a lot of shame, and our willingness to release that shame and release those shadows, allow our magic to shine, and we create literal magic in our bodies when we release a lot of those. So that's how I got into that.
Oh, no, great. Very, very, very interesting because you test by yourself, no? First, this step when you were in Puerto Rico, and after that, okay, you find that you were better, but you still feel not 100% percent well, no? And then you
Well, when I was in Puerto Rico and when I got back, I was feeling amazing. I was actually feeling 100%. But then a few years later, so like 6-7 years later after I got back, then I got sick again. And there was a lot of questions in terms of how could this be? Because I knew all the foods, I knew all the things to take, I knew what to do on a physical level, but energetically there was still some anger and shame around different things. So when I did get back, yeah, I felt great. So my body was healed, when I went there. It's just when I got back a few years later, that's when I got sick again. And that's when I decided to go deep into the energetics. And then I realized the magic of really releasing the shame and the shadow around it.
But let me understand. Did you work with some teacher or guru, or you find this by yourself? In this,
no, so in Puerto Rico, it was at the Wigmore Institute, and the Wigmore Institute is a natural living foods institute. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Anne Wigmore, but Anne Wigmore is a lady who healed herself using wheatgrass. So she started the wheatgrass phenomenon. Wheatgrass is the wheat berries that's grown for about 7 days. And when you juice them, it has so much potency that it floods your body with over 100 different nutrients, and it helps to clean and detoxify your physical body. So I did that in Puerto Rico. And then in terms of me going deep in terms of releasing my shame and shadow, I worked with different people, but what stood out for me was doing what's called like shadow work and shadow alchemy, where you go into different archetypes and release a lot of the shame and the shadows that's in your life.
Okay. Yes, I was trying to understand the second part, that with the energy and the shadows,